good evening and welcome to the Super License F1 podcast. My name's Rodney.
My name is Zach, and I'm ready.
I don't know if you noticed that, Zach. We were just talking. I feel like when I went into podcast mode, my voice just got like 15% more velvety.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. What people don't know is that you sip just before we start. You've been talking like this, going, and like really hitting the peak and being really strange, and then you take a sip of Cadbury's velvet hot chocolate milk, and suddenly you're deep and you eat the mic and you're here. Welcome to the Super License F1 podcast. Like FM radio voice style. But slowly as the show goes on and you become more infuriated with my mild takes, your voice starts to get back to normal.
I'll tell you something. I compared to where we were when we started 9 years ago or something, your takes have they've gone the opposite way from mild. They've gotten sharper. They've gotten hotter.
Got spicy takes.
Been on form is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, that's good.
Welcome to the Super License podcast. This week, we're not going to do races. We're in the middle of the summer break, so we thought we would do a little bit of a catch-up on some Drive to Survive with a little take on it, our angle on it, which is what we call Dare to Swear. And we also thought we would try something a little bit different, which is to say, hey, we've only done 3 episodes so far. Technically, we're kind of past the halfway point in terms of races. Let's do a little catch-up. Let's challenge ourselves. Let's back ourselves in to go for the double. Let's try and go for the double, mate.
Yeah, I was just about to suggest, why don't we watch them at 1.5 speed? But then anybody who's also watching along live won't be able to do
what
that.
What they could do, though, is they could
slow down the podcast.
Slow down. Yes. No, hang on. Which way would it have to work?
That would just be us talking slowly.
The show faster. Well, you know, like I said, that doesn't work for you.
Zach and Rod leave the
podcasting
podcasting station at 1 p.m. at 1.5 times speed. But the Netflix show leaves the same station at 0.75 times speed. Who will arrive?
How old is the driver?
Yeah.
What we're trying to say is we're going to do a Dare to Swear. If you want to sync up with us in a second, we're going to tell you what episode we're doing. But before we all get too committed into this, be just know going in. We're going for the double. We've never done this before in the whole of the 6 months or whatever we've been doing this. I guess it's nearly 2-something years.
Yeah. We've been doing
We're going to go for 2 episodes back to back. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, double. So this is going to be back.
This is going to be a sweet, not even two episodes, 1 episode, but double your Dare to Swear, double your dare to swear to swear. I'd bloody double dare you to swear. That's what it's called. Double dare you to swear.
Double dare you to swear.
All right. Exactly. Double dare to swear. So, but before we get into that, Zach, there's been some weirdness in the F1 world, hasn't there? Have you been following F1 Twitter lately? It's gone bonkers, mate.
It's mental. So the last post-race-ish kind of normal show we did, we were umming and ahhing. We were like, look at this. Turns out old mate Daniel Ricciardo's like, I'm committed forever to McLaren. I'm getting them tattooed on my bollocks. Like, I'm so here. And then Alpine was like, oh my God, Alonso, you just left. We didn't even say goodbye. You're off to Aston Martin. And then Alpine, and then we were like, oh, behind the scenes, there's some apparently Mark Webber wants to get Oscar Piastri out of the Alpine thing and into that McLaren seat. And then we finished the show, recorded it. We recorded it, we're pretty much about to put it out, and Alpine were like, hey, look, Oscar Piastri is going to be our new driver next year. And then 5 hours later, Oscar Piastri was like, I definitely am not.
What?
And not even hey, they did that without my consent. I'm still in negotiations. He was like, I'm not driving for you. I was like, oh, that's spicy. Is that a spicy take?
It's true. It's so true because I went to sleep and I woke up and you had sent me a message saying, I can't believe Alpine did us dirty like that by announcing. And I thought that was the big news. And then I didn't realize hours after you sent me that, the whole thing had just gone to 11. The other thing that I want to point out, because, the first thing I want to point out is, we're not going to get too deep into it because, number one, we don't know very much about what's going on. Number two, it's all going to happen, and then we can talk about it when we know what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I remember buying this, 600-page book about the JFK assassination, and someone saw me holding it once, and they were like, why did you buy that? I was like, well, I'm interested. And they're like, yeah, but you could read that whole 600-page book and still not know who killed JFK. And I was like, boy, that is such a valid point. We could do a 5-hour podcast right now about this whole situation, and you know who would know where all the drivers are going? Is nobody.
Yes,
so let's not do that.
Us in the future will know.
The one thing that I want to point out, that Piastri tweet, which has now become a tweet format of without my knowledge, so-and-so, and, blah, blah, blah. That's that people, like, within, like, 1 second were, like, making fun of it and posting, like, without my knowledge, it's been announced, but I'm going to be driving for friggin' Formula 3 for this team, and I am. It's like, yeah, well, good on you. Like, while the rest of us, like, most of Australia's in pain right now, and everyone's making fun of it, and I just don't appreciate it.
Look, we were talking about social media off mic before the show started, and this is it. This is the show. We were chatting before the show about how bad social media is these days for many I'm going to say it, myriad reasons.
So true.
The meme stuff like this, you've got about 5 minutes to get your meme in these circumstances, which means just, for people like you, Rod, who are on the other side of the world, and so much of like the Formula One media happens on, European time, you must wake up and be like, I too would like to use that meme format. However, it's done 5 hours ago. It's already burnt too brightly and burnt itself out. You got 5 minutes to make it happen, people. So I don't want to see like next day football clubs using a Formula One meme to talk about this, whatever. Like, it's bullshit. You know what? 5 minutes at most. You've got to do it immediately. Otherwise, it's not funny, and you got to get out. So yeah. We'll talk more about Oscar Piastri, who's definitely going to McLaren. Daniel Ricciardo is definitely not going to go to Alpine, no matter what Otmar stuff now says. And I think Daniel Ricciardo won't have a drive next year. So that's me. And we'll talk about that more in depth.
See. If true, I owe you a steak dinner. But, I mean, I don't know. We'll see about
what was the bet?
We'll just see. The bet was whoever retires before Hamilton. I was going to say loophole. He's not really retiring if you
no Formula One driver really does retire. They get fired.
But
that's actually what happens.
I would take it in the spirit of not having a drive is what you mean.
What was the last? Who was the last good Formula One driver to retire and not actually get fired, other than Sebastian Vettel?
I was going to say Sebastian Vettel. Maybe I guess Alonso also did that, but although he came back.
And they were trying to retire him
because he definitely got pushed out.
Yeah, so did Grosjean. Basically, everybody's just... Pardon?
Button,
yeah.
Jenson Button. Remember Jenson Button? Remember him?
I do remember Jenson Button.
Just checking.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, everybody else retires in inverted commas. If this was a video format, you'd be seeing me with
the...
Yeah, but everybody else, they're actually pushed. And they're like, we'll let you...
That's pretty much
leave by the front door as opposed to shuffling out the back door.
Yeah, very true. Anyway, look, that's all to say. The reason we're not doing right now a whole episode about that is because what do we even know? And again, we might do that and then record it, and then tomorrow it all gets announced and confirmed. So why do that? I don't want to do that to myself again for at least maybe 2 weeks.
McLaren decided to go with Ricciardo and Piastri together, an Australian duo
and they
never
Norris.
been seen before. Yeah, and they dumped Norris.
Amazing.
We're done with the stupid bucket hat green thing. Get off Twitch and get in the car.
Ridiculous. Well, cool. Look, we're about to dare. What are we doing? Double dare to swear. We're calling it.
Double dare to swear.
And we're going to do double dare to swear. And yeah, thanks. If you want to sync up, Zach's going to give us a countdown where you could play the next episode. Which you got to remind us which episode we're up to, Zach.
So we're up to Drive to Survive, Season 4, Episode 4, A Mountain to Climb. Here we go.
I love it.
In 3, 2, 1. Dum dum.
Dum dum. A mountain to climb, is that right?
Yes, a mountain to climb. We're in South Tyrol.
Right on form, right on the nose. We're looking at mountains.
At a mountain.
Who is it? Is it Bottas?
No, it's Gunther. Gunther Steiner. He's like, you know what? I love climbing mountains, but I never get to do it very often. It is beautiful. I mean, this is the part of the world, right, where it's, look, this is not in Italy, but it's also a bit Switzerland and also a bit Austria. Yeah. So it's where Toto Wolff claimed that Gunther Steiner was from, the mountains. You're just the mountain man.
The mountains?
Yeah,
that's quite an origin story.
Yeah.
He was born from an egg on a mountaintop. Got struck by lightning.
Son of an eagle.
The nature of Steiner was irrepressible.
I do like...
Do you want to drink something? Yes, sir. Well, this is riveting stuff.
You got to have your water. I mean, I thought that, why aren't they drinking some alcohol? Like, it is beautiful.
You got to stay hydrated. It's a very millennial thing to do. I think that if I climbed a mountain, though, I would want, like, just a little, like, just a champagne or even just a little sip of whiskey from a flask or something.
That's it. I climbed some mountains in Bulgaria, I think. Was it Bulgaria? Yeah, Seven Lakes, maybe. Yeah. It's either Bulgaria or Romania. I can't remember. I'm sorry to both of those countries. And we went with the Sherpa guy, and we sat down at one of the 7 lakes, and he was like, here you go, guys. Got a little bit of pick-me-up juice in this little flask.
Right.
Have some. And he was right. A little bit of something. A little bit of moonshine to
it was real good.
Really relax into it.
Wow. So I remember, before we go too much further, this is the Haas episode, which means you've got to prepare yourself. This is going to be a rough one. I'm actually glad we're doing a double, and this is the first one, because I'm not going to be happy at the end of this episode. I'm very glad we're going to power straight through this one into another one. But before we leave mountain talk for a minute, I remember when I was maybe 18, me and some friends went to the Grampians, and we climbed up this big rock face thing. I guess it was like a small hill. Or I don't know if it classifies as a mountain. There's like a technical thing for that. But it was a very steep, smooth rock face. So we climbed all the way to the top. First thing that happened was my friend was right on the edge, and I was like, I know, this will be funny. I'll pretend to push him off, but I won't really. And we both nearly fell off the rocks. It was terrible. I was like, well, I'm never doing that again. So first thing, nearly died doing that. Stupid me. But then second thing, it started pouring rain, and we had to slide. Like, we could not walk or run or anything down the rock face because it was too slippery. Literally had to go down, and we were so high, had to go all the way down on my ass and completely ruined the jeans that I wore, which I don't know why you climb a mountain in jeans, but that's what I took with me.
You thought it was going to be easy. This is what happens.
Thought I was going to die.
Do you think that...
There's just no way. I couldn't even hands and knees, couldn't do any of that. It had to be ass or nothing. That was it. Or roll and break every bone. Those are the options.
That's it. On the butt or not. We just saw a little bit of Gunther Steiner and Benotto having a bit of play fight in the halls.
Equals.
I wonder if Gunther Steiner is a little bit of just the class clown, but then maybe he lacks respect from the other teams. Speaking of lacking respect,
he likes being respected.
Yeah, I think he thinks he's someone, but maybe he is just, everyone's a bit like, there he is, still getting along. Would you, could Gunther Steiner be do you imagine him going to a team principal job anywhere else? Could he go and take over at Alpine or Aston Martin, or is he just a mover and shaker at a smaller team? Because he has to be, because that's how they work.
Part of me thinks that Gunther is the guy who extracts the most that he can out of the very little that he's got. Part of me thinks that. The other part of me thinks that is exactly what he would want me to think, and I have no idea what to think. So I thought I had a good read on him after season 1 of this show, but I really don't know that I do anymore.
Yeah, I think he actually... I'm with you. I'm it's so hard to tell. Are you a good operator because you've managed to keep this team going at all? It's so dysfunctional, but is he the only man who's can make it work? Is he the Haas whisperer?
Is he to blame for it still being together?
Also that,
instead of naturally dying a death?
Yeah, is it both? Is he the guy who is he's just keeping that alive, but maybe with a second, a second opinion? Could somebody else come in and be like, well, first of all of that stuff that's barely keeping you going, you need to start again, and it needs a complete reinvigoration, and that means Gunther has to go somewhere else? Or would he be maybe good somewhere like Ferrari? Be like, your shit, this needs to be better.
What would Ferrari be like if he was there instead of Where's Wally?
Yeah, if he didn't have to do... Where's Wally? Great. If he had to... if he didn't have to worry about, God, where am I going to put the major team sponsor's son in the team?
Yeah.
And he's not very good and a bit shit.
Yeah, this is, like I said, this episode's going to infuriate me, because this is the episode that... is it too much to say that this is a love letter to Nikita Mazepin? Is it too much?
I don't know if it's a love letter. I think this is just the story. I think it actually paints a pretty good... I think that it's... If read correctly, or not correctly, but in one way, I think one interpretation of this is that it's kind of... They might have gotten away with something here at Netflix to be like, oh, look, we'll just tell the story of how Mazepin and Nikita Mazepin and his dad are they're just kind of fine. And Nikita's just an up-and-coming racer who's just trying to... Yes, his dad owns the team, but he's trying to make it work, and he's pretty talented. But I think them kind of playing that with this level of naivete actually does a really deft job of kind of pointing out like, oh, look, he's just a totally entitled rich kid who thinks everything should be the way it is and just like asks Daddy nicely. And then Daddy goes and bangs heads together and makes it work. So, I think they managed almost to kind of get away with something here because it put the Mazepin family and brand kind of in a position that was like, oh, well, this is all fine. Nothing bad's going to come from this, because they have such an entitled point of view of like, if we're just open and straightforward, everyone will just believe us that we are inherently good people. And I don't think anybody comes out of this episode being like, oh yeah, Haas is all great for that sponsorship with Mazepin. With Uralkali.
I think for most of this episode, they're like, this is just a warts and all view of Haas and just the factual, just the state of the facts. They've got the young guy Schumacher with the name recognition and the big eyes, and then they've got this other guy. His dad chipped in a shitload of money to the team. That's why he's there. But look, he's just there trying. And there's parts throughout this episode, we'll get to them later, where like they're like, look, Schumacher's doing better than me. It must be because you're helping him and not helping me, and I'm giving you so much money. You will now help me, and if you don't, there's going to be problems, and we're going to pull the money and all the rest of it. That's all included, which is great. But I think what ruins it for me is the ending, and we'll get there, but it's too favourable to him, and they're like, oh, he finally had his good moment. And you see, he was out there just plugging away, and he had his moments where he was a bit shaky, but he finally delivered for the team. And number one, I mean, that's a completely fake manufactured moment that they've done there, so that's inauthentic and wrong. But it's also like, we did all the good work of pointing out all the shortcomings. Why did you ruin it at the end by just giving him a nice little lob, a little softball for him to hit?
But is it just... I think this is not a documentary. I think it's light entertainment.
It's true.
Especially this episode. I think that it's just light stuff, like with a little bit of... Actually, these are my favourite pieces. When Günther Steiner, Mick Schumacher here at whatever this place is called, it's a furniture
It's where they're
company.
shooting these things. Well, these are incredible.
Yes.
I mean, this is
perfect. I just want this all the time.
This is absolute joy. Where they shoot... This is like an Aldi catalogue or something. They're shooting like... I think there's one point where he's sitting next to a little kid's playhouse or something.
It's perfect.
As if like, there's your little team. That's a stand-in for your team. It's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Look at this. They could be holding hands.
Chair.
Hey, what if we held hands and kissed on the rocking chair?
What if I pretend to be a dog? Let's stay in the little dog's house, and I'll be the dog, and you be the owner. Put a leash on me.
Can he keep a leash on his drone?
It's the little boat. It's perfect.
It's a little boat.
It's absolutely perfect.
Was Mazepin the little man in the boat? So... the jokes write themselves.
I just wish instead of them even having people to help, I think that Mick and Günther had to do all the moving of the props as well. Like, I wish there was more. Like, he's so stiff, but he's just so... I think he knows that his life's actually pretty good. That, like, he's like, you know what? It's all good. It's like my little boat. Look at them. They're putting their heads out in the little keg thing, the little saunas, bathtubs, whatever gets the money in.
Yeah. Like if you did a fictional version, like if you scripted this and got actors to play all the roles, he would be like the Burt Reynolds of the field, because he's just got that walk where he's like, his body's just been banged around or something his whole life, and he just like walks with that kind of stiff upper back waddle kind of.
Yeah. Exactly. Of course he's like, it's not my aim of my life, but I will do whatever it takes to get to my actual aim of my life, which I think is to be a guy who wins Formula One races, maybe? I couldn't tell you what his aim of life is. To run a good team?
Keep Gene happy.
Yeah. To get a good night's sleep and provide for his family, probably, is what it
Not look like
is.
a bunch of wankers. That's his goal.
Yeah, he wants to look like rock stars.
So this is really like previously on Günther Steiner, where he used to swear.
Someone needs to make a fan cut of this show where it's just, Drive to Günther. Like, something like that. So where it's just all the Steiner moments. And that's because that's all I really want out of this show.
There are on YouTube some choice supercuts, but they're usually like either pointing at errors or every swear word.
Being all dumb and not having fun.
Yes.
They're a great little odd couple.
I'm trying to remember because from the way I remember it was the money was pulled and Mazepin was dropped before this episode came out. And I guess I'm watching this now thinking, like, if they had to re-edit it, what would they do differently? Would they do anything differently?
I think you have to be careful because the other teams are looking at the way you craft stories about them and going like, well, you really fucking burnt Haas there, so why would we be nice to you?
Well, I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it, but another way to look at it was that's a pretty big part of the Haas and Mazepin story and the Mazepin era. Can we call it an era? Was it 1 year or 2 years? I feel like this was only 1 year.
It's 1 year. It's a 1 year era.
Maybe it's not an era. Maybe that's a bit too rich, but the Haas story changed dramatically. So I'm just saying, like, it recontextualizes every single thing. So I'm just saying, if you had to re-edit this now, what would change?
I mean, they did call him a fucking disaster. Just then, he's a fucking disaster. Like, because, you can't have Haas. Sorry, you can't have Gunter Steiner mid-season being like, yeah, my drivers fucking suck. He's trying to be like, all right, Gunter is one of these guys who's like, I've really got to make the best of what I got. Like, it's the only way. Yeah. So if I have to go to them and be like, you know what? You're okay. Just drive a little bit less crazily and be a little bit better, then it would be okay.
Yeah. I don't want to get too ahead of myself either, but I got a feeling we have a classic, like, Steiner Drive to Survive moment where he says one thing in front of the team and then he pulls the driver into a back room and you can still hear the microphones and he's, like, paying him out for something.
Yeah. Stop spinning. It costs a lot of money to crash the car. If you're going to spin, don't crash it in the wall.
Stop spinning. I think it's more something like, hey, this team is trying to help you and you're just like out there like fucking getting angry at everybody.
About the car.
That's my job, so stop it.
Yeah, he can't get on top of the car. He can't understand how it works. Yeah, because it's the first time in his whole fucking life he's gotten into something and he's like, wait a second, even with all of my money and clout, I am nothing compared to actual rich teams with actual talented drivers. Like, that's the biggest fallacy of anybody who's a pay driver, is that there's really only, like, the best pay drivers go and get their guys into cars that are actually pretty good. Like Lance Stroll is a good example of a pay driver. Chico Perez, very talented, also a pay driver at a good team. Like, you can't just, like, Formula One no longer can you just, like, be like, oh, my dad will buy the team. I'll get in there and we'll put some money in and I'm sure we'll just, like, magic it, like, we'll just turn it around. It's like, this is the worst possible combination of factors here. Haas aren't great. I don't think Uralkali's putting in quite enough money to make them amazing, and Mazepin's not very good. And it was actually just a particularly difficult time for them because it's like the end of the formula. Yeah. Like, the other teams are actually, the other backmarket teams were actually on the upswing as well, like a bit better, and there's nowhere really to go. So, like, it's probably the first time in Mazepin's life where he hasn't turned up to a thing, had his dad inject a huge amount of money into it, and not just, like, started being good immediately. Like, he's just... And no wonder he's struggling. He's like, why isn't this working? Why is everything bad? I'm used to everything being really good.
What's the classic? It's a classic Stroll line of, "Hey, the only thing worse than being, a pay driver is being a bad pay driver."
Yeah, yeah.
Like he doesn't like. There's actually kind of nothing all that wrong with being a pay driver if you're also good. So, like, people will forgive it.
And Stroll is actually good enough right now, seemingly. Like, he's managed to stay in it long enough that I actually think he gets enough about Formula One and driving that it's kind of okay. Like, and they're not suffering. And it does seem like Lawrence Stroll wants to make a very successful Formula One team, which is quite interesting, really.
Well, like, he ain't going to die wondering, that's for sure.
No, that's right. Mick, you're always doing a good job.
This is the third time I've had to check how far into the episode are we. Like, is this one nearly done?
15 minutes in.
This at all. For the first time in a long time, this feels like work. I'm not enjoying this at all.
This podcast is always work. Well, what can we do?
It's to because make it more fun for else you? Either. It's all Mazepin and Haas. It's just like, give me something else to break it up.
That's it. I like this. I like that Steiner's just like, fuck. This is why, like, because Mick's out there being like, you know what, car's good for us, made it work, and Mazepin's like, I just keep trying to do nothing differently, and the car is still bad. Like, why is it so bad? That's right. I get in, I drive, I do my usual things, not be a very good driver. I don't understand how Mick drives it. It's like, yeah, because he's really good. Oh my God, even then, saying like, I don't have a lot of friends here, you know, like it's us against them. It's like, yeah, you're probably used to like fucking walking into the room.
I made enemies of everybody and now nobody likes me.
Yeah, exactly. They won't, I can't just tell them what to do because we're not really in charge.
Came into F1 with a reputation as being utterly unlikable and is amazed that no one likes him.
Yeah, and not very good. Oh, man, of course. And this is where Gunter earns his real money. This is where he's like, all right, I'm going to hide in it amongst the tyres. Oh, wait, no, I've got to go into this room. Happy to see you,
German,
Mick.
Great. Did you see that?
Yeah.
The subtitle said, in German, great.
And now it's that's been English. It turns out I'm really bad. There's a big difference between C1 and C3.
The big difference between MSC and what was his name, MIK or whatever.
But no, you don't. You have to talk about it. See, he doesn't shirk the responsibilities, Gunter. He's like, I need to talk to you. Yeah, exactly. You have to give feedback. Can they all hear it?
He's dressing him down. Oh, I'm sure they can't hear it. Or at least he thinks they can't. They're all going to watch the show probably, so I've heard it now.
I love that. He's like, yeah, but I don't want to be a pussy on the radio. I want to be tough. Yeah, it's like, that's not going to get you fuck all here, mate.
Exactly. Yeah. I want people to respect me. That's why I abuse them. Duh.
Yeah. Yeah, do it. Yeah. Yeah, Mick did it because Mick's really good and you're not very good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's not a magic thing for the car, you know?
Look, I don't know. I mean, driving a Formula One car must be so hard. I couldn't do
this.
It. But also,
it's my favourite. He's like, the thing we should do for me is to make me a different car. I want my own thing. So then I'm in a win-win situation or a no-lose situation because it's not very good. There's no direct
comparison.
If I'm not good, I'll blame it on the car. And if I am good, it'll all be me. So win-win.
Do we sympathise a little bit with Mazepin and say, boy, it must have been a lot of pressure to have someone with the name Schumacher to drive against who also starts to beat you? I mean, I'm saying he put a lot of pressure on himself.
Yes. I think that there is... you know what? I'm not feeling very generous today. I don't particularly like Nikita Mazepin.
Right on.
You know...
Face, punch-worthy.
Oligarchs. Also, you know, the social media controversy and his... the accusations of misogyny and sexual assault are also things that are bad, and I don't think Formula One needs people like him.
Just general.
So yeah,
no question. F1 is better without him in it. No question. Like, you know, I mean, there's a whole like argument for redemption that's been like we've been grappling with lately. Like, you know, if someone does something wrong, don't they have the right to redeem themselves? It's like, well, yeah, but also there are some people who are just rotten to the core and like do things even when they know it's wrong, and that I just get that vibe from him. So
no, this is what I meant by this
toxicity
episode
is what I was going to say.
Yeah, I think this episode, by just showing a lot of stuff of him being a cryy little baby, does a really good job of being like, oh, he's totally unlikable. And like that's, and people, I think everyone kind of draws that conclusion from here. Even if they go in being like, oh, I want to hear from Nikita and let's see, you know, he's got a hard role and stuff. It's like, no, he gets off pretty lightly in his life. And if he fails here, it's not like he's going to have a bad life. You know, I think he's probably surrounded by sycophants who are like, you know what? That Haas team really did you bad there. You know, you worked really hard and they hated you from day one and they just wanted you for the money. Like, I don't think that he's losing any sleep over his Formula One career. I think he probably feels annoyed and angry about how he was treated, not that he did a bad job.
Oh, absolutely. That's why he was like, I still want to keep racing. If the problem is you want to ban Russian drivers, then let me drive as just a neutral, like non-affiliated to any country driver. Just let me do that. But they were like, sorry, no. No, but really, we do not want you.
You're basically
so we'll ban every Russian driver just to get rid of you.
Yeah.
See, now we're racing. We're halfway through the episode. The 5th time I've checked to see how far into it we are. There's still so much to go. I think part of what annoys me too, and we sort of touched on it then, is that like he came, he's gone. I'm glad he's gone, and now I have to sit through half an hour of like revisiting when he was there, and I just don't appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not even visceral for you. It's just like I don't want to be a part of this.
I just don't want to remember that it happened.
Yeah, but it's important sometimes to visit those moments in your life and examine them, pick them up, and go, you know what? I was right at the time. He is shit.
It's not. I mean,
why can't my car be fast like Lewis Hamilton?
By Lewis Hamilton. Like, yeah, you know who else got lapped by Lewis Hamilton that year? Virtually everybody.
Everyone.
And he's also one of the best drivers ever. It's not the bad thing that you're making it out to be, necessarily.
I love
like Schumacher would have got lapped by by Hamilton. So
yeah, look, man, that's fair enough. If you push more, it does get bad. The car isn't great, so learn how to drive on the edge. You've just got to have that drive to survive.
I'm just going to say it. I don't think he has that drive.
No.
I'm not saying it was a great car, but
No.
I don't think it was. I think the biggest problem with the car was right behind the steering wheel.
See, and now Dad's like, you know what? I think they're giving Mick a better car.
This is it. He's feeding the toxicity because he's buying into it. He's also feeding it.
What are you doing to my son? What?
Yeah, so he's just telling them, I will send an official letter that we stop financing. Yeah.
Like, how do you think it happens? Like, that you just... Formula 1 doesn't work that way. You can't just literally throw... Like, you can't fix the problem next race. You just... It perplexes me that people... Like, did you get tricked into sponsoring Formula 1? Or is it that your entire life you've been at smaller teams
you're
where
there
you've just
to
been
get
like, I just come in and I put $5 million in and suddenly they can just buy the best parts off the shelf and they just assemble them all and then we just go. And it's like, well, there's actually like 9 other teams who are basically spending the same or more than you and have more to build from. Like, he should have come in year one. Like, if he wanted to do it, coming in this season would have been the right one because new formula, the money would have actually been useful for development. But nah. No good. I think Will's got it right here. 2021 is about survival for Haas, and Gunter is in a funny position, but that's all he's got to do. Just get them to 2022.
I think one of the problems with navigating that year was like you'd have to assume, well, for the next few years at least, this is the future. These are the guys. Like, I'm going to be with these guys.
These are my dudes. Yeah.
They've been our savior, but they're not just going to save us and then go, thanks, see you later. Keep all the money, but we're just going to leave. Bye. Like, that's not going to happen.
Let me just leave my wallet here.
He not only has to keep them happy now, but he's beholden to them.
Yeah, they are his masters at the same time.
Back on the mountain. So, just what could it mean? Climbing, struggling uphill to reach a higher place, putting in everything he can. Surrounded by people who are dragging him up that mountain. Like, what could it all mean?
Doing it as a team, support. God, that's a cool spot, though. Oof. Get up there and there's like a little hotel place.
Not very convenient, but...
Also, I wonder how he feels about, like, I came up this fucking mountain to forget about Formula 1 for 5 minutes, and then the camera guys were like, why don't we come with you? And you can talk about Formula 1 all the time.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, do you think they... not staged it, but do you think they were like, hey, what do we got planned this week, Kunta? Any mountains we're going to be climbing? Because I know a good one. Or do you think he was like, I'm going mountain climbing, do you want to come with me? It might be good to shoot it.
Yeah.
Like, how authentic do you think it was?
Oh, cool. It's probably a bit of give and take, right? I can imagine that maybe the choice of when and where it happens is maybe out of his hands, but he was like, cool, what I'm going to... Like, they must have asked at the start of the year, right? Are you doing anything cool this year? Like, what are your plans? And he's like, actually, I'm climbing the mountain. They're like, could you do that on this weekend where we can get a helicopter to film it?
They could film it and then just use it any time. This could have been like pre-season, but like, Yeah. The footage is always going to work.
It's 5 years ago, actually, from a documentary. Yeah, Gunter, a mountain to climb. Becoming Gunter Steiner.
A man and his mountain.
Because the interesting thing is, Stein means rock.
No way.
It does. Yeah.
Bloody hell, we've cracked something here.
Look at my hard life in my massive house.
Just look at how hard he's working. He's hugging his best friend. This is his commitment.
Stretching. Put the boxing gloves on. It's the only way to train. Punch. Punch harder. Punch more. Have you tried punching the car?
Imagine that my hand is your lap time. Now punch it.
The apex. Now punch. Have you thought about punching Mick Schumacher and injuring him so he's worse? Try that.
So this is we're going to get some unfiltered Mazepin here. Here's what I think about things.
This is the way to be, right? You just got to get in with the rich boy and be the advisor to the rich kid, because you'll never be wrong. It's everybody else that's wrong. You can just be like,
and that's what he's feeding him. The problem isn't you. The problem is everybody else.
Yeah, that'll be £1 million, please. Yeah, you reckon? A big step up, you think? But other people have paid to be there and done okay. Why not me? See, somebody else's fault. I don't have confidence, because how could I be confident? Okay, well, that's interesting. Gunter's been supportive.
He feels like that. That's the Gunter way. Like, he can slap you around, but he makes you think that it's for your own good. Yeah. Like, he's the classic, like, coach dad. He's like, the reason I'm hard on you is because you need it, and I can't be soft on you just because I'm your dad. Which, ironically, is not what Mazepin's dad is actually like. Did you ever? You played some sport, right? When you were younger, did your dad get involved? Was he just like on the sidelines? Did he get amongst them?
When I moved where I was playing basketball, and
to get away from your dad,
playing with some people.
He was getting all the rebounds.
He's a big guy.
What a ball hog.
Yeah, it was hard to get him in the under-12s, but he made it. No, my dad. I was playing at one place, and then I wanted to play with some of my school friends at a more local place, and my dad became our coach for a couple of seasons. So my dad was my coach for a little while.
It's all sounding familiar.
And this was good, but also I played with a lot of people who weren't very good, and I could tell that was frustrating for him.
Oh no!
And also for me, but he was very supportive. He was trying to teach people the basics, the fundamentals of how to play, and that was good and fun.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
And you know what? Sometimes it's fun to be like. There aren't many times in my life when I've been the best in the team, and that was a fun time when I was like, I will do it myself.
When you were the best,
and I was the best.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago. It was fun having dad as my
I played basketball, but from when I was 8 or 7 until literally 23 or something like that. So I did a lot of playing. It was not good, but did a lot of playing. But there was one year I remember where because I was so tall, I remember getting dropped down. I must have been just about to age out of that age group and go into the next one, but I also got dropped down 2 grades or something crazy like that.
Ooh.
And we went from playing on the standard size courts to playing on the mini courts. Did you ever see those?
What?
And the ring is like 8 foot tall instead of 10 foot tall.
No,
so I was
I
could almost dunk it.
Amazing.
And I was that was like you just said, you were the best on the team that year. Like that was the only time I was clearly the best on the team, and I was scoring 20 points a game and stuff, and I was sharing it around because I was like, this is too many for me. But I was 2 foot taller than the next tallest person on any team. It was incredible. So I went back up again. But then I spent a lot of years in the C grade, D grade. If there's anything lower than D, maybe there. But because the stakes were so low, it was just well, who cares? We just need a coach. Anybody will do. And then my dad was like, yeah, I'll coach, whatever. What do I have to do? Just call timeouts every now and again? I can do that. Yeah. And then the next thing I know, Dad is joining the basketball club committee. And the next thing I know, he's president of the committee. And I'm like, oh my God. So,
and then our team got all this
escalated
funding,
quickly.
And the referee started to go easy on us. I don't know how it happened.
And then he was like, hey, look, if I'm going to invest hundreds of dollars into this club, then my son had better be in the A grades.
Yeah, we all got Nikes for our team, all the matching.
It was good fun, though. And then there was one year where I got spotted because I was just so tall, and I got promoted to a district. You're playing your local club and you go up to the district league, and that's when they're like, you fucking know if you can play when you get up to there. Yeah. And I could not play. I'd score 1 point a game if I was lucky. But they were like, we can teach you how to play. We just can't teach kids to be tall. So that's what you're here to do is be tall, and we'll teach you. And they didn't, and I got very annoyed and I left. But it was also just not fun anymore. Not because I wasn't with my friends, but because it became, you're in the wrong spot, or you're holding your hands out wrong. I'm like, what the fuck? Holding my hands out wrong? What are you talking about? So I just gave that away straight away.
Oh, that's the difference between you and me. There's a part of me that'll be like, "Oh, good. Tell me how to hold my hands."
Probably were
like, I want to know. I want to know how to do good. Please, I want to do things in the correct and good way.
Couldn't care less.
Yearn for coaching from nice coaches. That's all I want all the time.
Yeah, it's true. Even now.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's and you know, I think that it's tricky, right? Because even Nikita Mazepin, I think if you asked him, like at the table around there with people he trusts, he's like, I like Gunter when he's like nice to me, but also firm with me and tells me how to do better. But then probably in Nikita's mind, there's only like one or two trustworthy, like people of deserving of respect in that room in any one moment. And the rest of them, he's been taught probably by his own father coach that like all people, pretty much everybody is shit. You've got to tell them to work hard and basically don't believe what they're saying because you probably know best because you're the most experienced person in the room because you've been successful your whole life. And he turns up at a Formula One team that he probably thinks is not very good and only can listen to a couple of people there. So the people who are trying to tell him how to do better are not Gunter Steiner, but are like his engineers and like other people who are like data nerds. So are like, well, we looked at the data and this is it. And he's just like, what the fuck do you know? You've never driven a Formula One car. I'm the king. I know what's best. So he probably wants the coaching, but only from people he believes are worthy of coaching him. And like, you're just not a good enough team to get that. You know, when people talk about, having, if I was George Russell at McLaren, I would have no trouble listening to Lewis Hamilton at all. But if you turn up at like, if you then, like I'm sure Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo, I'm sure if Daniel ever tries to give Lando advice, which I think probably never happens, Lando will be like, who the fuck are you? I've won as many races as you. You're just some aging guy who's never won a world championship. You think you're so much better than me when you aren't. So, I think you kind of got to pick and choose where you're learning from, right?
This is the bit where they're like...
oh, he's so good.
Mazepin pits for wet tyres because he just knows the clouds in Russia.
He knew. Because all my life I've been traveling.
Someone fact check that. I mean, you can see in the pit lane, a lot of the other teams are already out as well.
It's so good. But I knew.
Like, how did he know that when it's raining, you put on wet tyres? Jeez.
And look, if only every single race was at Sochi, then maybe I'd be okay.
We'll talk to this in another minute when it gets to it, but it's very like well done, Mazepin. You achieved a good result, and it's like, well, you finished ahead of these other two drivers, and then someone fact checked that, and they were like, well, yeah, wait a second, it turns out those two drivers just like retired from the race, so what's going on there?
Even the fake commentary, the one that they add from that guy, was like, the more experienced drivers are not changing their tyres, but Mazepin, he has. What does he know that everybody else doesn't? It's a bit like, yes, the young upstart, only he can change the world. I mean, and everyone knows that Norris was like on ice skates.
Everyone else is an idiot. I mean, it's clearly raining, but do we put on wet tyres? No. But clearly this guy... Turns out he knew all along
20 seconds
of
footage as well, like where he overtakes four guys
it's
who are
true.
quite obviously on hards.
And then we're dragging it out to about 3 minutes.
Yeah, look, there's Vettel on hards. Of course, someone who's on wets is going to drive past. Oh, Lando, no.
I mean, what they're not really pointing out is that Mazepin had nothing to lose. These other people who were fighting for positions were like, well, look, I don't want to give up my position, so maybe I won't pit for tyres. That's the reality here. So it's not... Yeah. It's not like they read it wrong and he read it right. They were like, I'm really just hoping I can get away without having to pit.
Nice laps.
Sexy laps.
How come you can't drive like this when it's dry?
Maz? What do you think of Maz for a nickname? Is that good?
Yeah. I think it's okay.
Maz, I'm not mistaken, short for masturbate. That's a slang term, having a Maz. Am I wrong?
Is it? I wouldn't know.
Pretty sure it is.
Okay. I mean, you've never said that to me, so...
Why would I talk to you about that?
Well, I don't know.
When have I ever been that guy?
But then when would I have ever heard it? Like, who would be that guy? Who would say
they're
it?
calling him Maz, and Maz means to do that thing. So
you think they're like getting one over on Maz? You reckon?
Well, I just don't know.
Do you reckon he turned up and was like, "You guys can call me Maz," and they all smirked, and Gunther was like, "Yeah, cool, we can do that.
If that's what you want, I guess I'll to your face call you that word."
Yeah. You sure
Steiner's just congratulating himself.
Mazza spin. Are you sure?
This guy has just cemented his place in F1 history by with one race. One race was on.
Look, just tell Dad that it's all good, and Dad's like, "Yeah, my son is good. Yes." You're right, mate. It can only get better. It's just going to get way better from where you are right now.
Got a good feeling. Things are just going to get better from here.
Yep, it confirmed. Driver lineup. Yep, and he's ready to increase funding.
Great.
Thanks, Dad. And from the top of the mountain, everything is good.
Was it snowing before, or is this a different day?
As you climb up, it tends to get more snowy.
Well, I mean, I don't know that that's a given, but I'll I don't disagree.
It wasn't snowy before. It was, you're right, as they climbed up. You reckon this is over 4 different... Actually, if you look at the footage, it's actually 4 different climbs that they've stitched all together.
This isn't even Italy.
Yeah, that's no longer the Dolomites. That's actually the Swiss Alps.
That's Kosciuszko that he's on right there. What's this thing? What's going on here?
Well, look,
it's like a big
lot of
crucifix.
These countries
you touch
really,
it and what's the go?
Religious. Yeah, it's just...
I just assume you know what this is.
Everything, all religions do this, right? You go and build your monasteries and you put your religious stuff as high as they can go. And is it rosé? What are they drinking? Is it whiskey or rosé?
Apparently.
Because it looks like rosé. There are a couple of rosés.
It does look quite a lot like rosé.
I wish you'd just turn around and smash that glass thing in the middle.
That would be sick.
Take that. And then just did the skydive off, in the wingsuit. Just wow! They should have got a stunt double to do it and tricked us all.
Here's what I would have had: a whole episode of them climbing the mountain with very little on-track action.
Yeah, exactly. 3, 2, 1. We're skipping to the next one right away. Boom.
We're getting... Oh, okay. I was going to say we're getting a preview of what's coming next. It's the McLaren one, everybody.
Yep, Staying Alive. This is actually quite good. We're in.
Zach's favourite episode of the entire series so far, this one.
This is the summer break where Daniel Ricciardo, all he does is run around in California. He's either in Western Australia or California. He doesn't do anything else. It's true, you are struggling more and more, Daniel. God, it's so depressing running around there. The roads are cracked. There's no pavement. It's just got to run on the road.
Just alone. Just feels all alone, just like he does when he has a crash or spins out. Doesn't perform.
Can't spin when you're running.
Feels so alone. This is episode 5 of this season. I think this is the second one that's focused on McLaren. 2 out of 5. Because I remember we did another one. I don't know if that was like an A story, B story situation, but...
that was that Lando Norris and I think that Daniels was struggling.
Getting in early. Double Daniel getting in early. Who's this joker?
He's always just hanging out with motocross boys. Here we go, yeah. Hunter Lawrence. You're having a more American name.
Yeah. Well, look, yeah.
He might not be American.
You get a real insight.
He might be Australian, actually, so, yeah.
You just learn who Daniel Ricciardo is when you watch what he does away from the track. But, I mean, I just would say it. A lot of it I don't like, and it's not stuff I would do.
Do you think he's a bit of a bogan?
He's a, what do they call it? A cob? Cashed up bogan?
Yeah.
Cub.
Yeah, I was mean about Americans when I said Hunter Lawrence wasn't an American name. I still think it is an American name, but that is an Australian motocross guy.
There you go.
Why the Ferrari thing for a McLaren episode? Weird. There's almost taunting Daniel. That Ferrari seat you never got.
They're hoping no one will know. Papaya,
is Alexander
red,
Palace?
Pretty similar.
I think this is Ali Pally. It is. Okay. Alexander Palace. I go up there once a year consistently to watch the Burns Night fireworks and fire display. It's very cool.
Burns Night is what? What's Burns Night?
Oh no, I should know. They're going to cancel my visa because I don't know. So I'll know what by the time I take my citizen test. Robert Burns.
Robbie Burns. He's the poet,
we burn
right?
an effigy of him at this time in...
Is he English?
Some sort of
I thought he was
celebration
Irish?
of probably something like that. Something around...
Probably some important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So answer me this. How big is ice hockey in England?
Not nil.
So what the fuck's going on here?
There's an ice hockey rink there, and he's just playing.
Sure.
Yeah, he's just doing some social ice hockey. That's
Why?
all.
I guess this is just he must just actually do it. He's American, right? So obviously in America it's a bigger thing. So he's an expat.
But he lives in the UK. Yeah, because that's where McLaren is,
and that's why he's on a team, because he's 60 years old.
Yeah.
And he still gets to play.
There's only two places to play ice hockey in all of the UK.
I wonder if his dad's the coach or something.
If we think Zach Brown's a good daddy coach, what's Zach Brown's dad like? To have got Zach Brown to this point. He must be really
Someone
nice.
had to teach him.
Oh,
they're like, cut that. Come on, cut that. Can't show me falling over, mate.
I wish they still put the names of the drivers on the sides of the car, like that McLaren that had Mika on the side.
It does look good. And there's races now where they have blank, rear wings and stuff, because they're like, oops, no, can't show that sponsor here. It's like, put something there, mate.
Put someone's name on there.
It's one of those situations where they're like, well, not putting something there calls more attention, and the focus is the sponsors like that.
Yeah, but maybe, the sponsor's like, hey, we're usually there. That barcode, it usually says Marlboro.
Haven't had a lot of... We didn't get a lot of Will Buxton last episode. There was a little bit. But for an episode that was...
Yeah, because he's not allowed to comment on Uralkali, probably...
Or did he say the wrong thing? Or were they like, talk about us, and he was like, I refuse.
I love him. Yeah, exactly.
They're like, you gave us heaps, but couldn't use a single word of it because it was all too complimentary.
Yeah, or too mean. Maybe he went two-footed. He was
or
just
too
like,
mean.
You know what? They suck. I hate them. He's my nemesis.
Could be. I guess this is where the Ferrari thing is coming in. It's like, because we're going to... This is the Ricciardo wins the race one, right? We haven't had that yet.
In Monza? Does that happen?
He wins the Monza race.
Wow. Forgotten about that.
So this is why we're looking... That's why we're watching the Ferrari mechanics doing their weird stretches. This is going to be like Ferrari, the home of Ferrari, Monza. But guess what? Someone's going to rain on the parade.
Guess what? This is what your car looks like when it's red and it fades. Because when the cars fade, it fades into kind of a papaya colour.
Well, it's hard to remember, but last year was the Red Bull and Mercedes show, so it was like literally McLaren and Ferrari for like best of the rest, right? I mean,
it was.
It's hard to remember, but...
I really don't know much about Oscar Piastri.
What do you want to know?
I might be
I can make up anything you want to know.
Maybe I'm too old now just to like them on the surface because he's Australian. Maybe because Daniel Ricciardo's become a little insufferable. More and more, I'm just a bit like, shut up.
I remember when we started the podcast, it was Mark Webber's last year, Daniel Ricciardo's, not his first year, but it was his first year, I think, as a full-time driver. Yeah. And you were like, right, it's so amazing to have two Australians on the grid. I was almost like, is there two? I know Webber. The other one? Don't pay any attention. Like,
so we all start with little information. This is every Formula One fan's journey is wide-eyed bewilderment, and then you learn a little bit more, and then you find the people you like, and then after a few more years, you start to just really tire of it all. And you're just like, seriously, guys.
I mean, we pay a lot more attention to the sport now, and I could name all the drivers up and down the grid, but back then, I was like, boy... Is there even in the second? Like, I'm not even excited that there's two Australian drivers back then because I'm like, well, there's the good one and there's this other one. So
there's this other guy. Yeah, there's Daniel Ricciardo and there's this other guy, Mark Webber. He seems okay.
No, all right, cool.
Oscar Piastri is going to wipe the floor with whoever. You know what I'm really looking forward to? Wiping that smile off Lando's face. Oscar's going to turn up and be like, I'm a serious customer. I'm not going to kick the football with you. I don't like it when you shoot me with Nerf gun pellets or whatever. I'm here to drive. I'm going to drive the wheels off it, mate.
It's going to be such a tough sell when they're like, see, we just love our Aussies so much that even though we lost Daniel, we couldn't bear to not have an Aussie, so we got Oscar. Really it's like, no, that's not how that worked.
It's going to be spun that way, though. Daniel's going to be like, so glad I'm getting another opportunity at Renault Alpine. Things just didn't go that well, and now I'm back. And I'm here to make it work in this really great, awesome team.
You're like, yeah, I really believe in this, in the program that they've got going on here, and we're all pulling in the same direction, and like just have faith in the whole thing. Like, do you? You said that when you went there the first time, and then you did them wrong to go to McLaren, and then they did you wrong. Oh gosh.
Do you think it's just turning into team rehabilitation? You go to Alpine if you need to rejuvenate your career. So you go there and you're like, right, I find myself again, like Alonso did, like Ocon came back in. Ricardo kind of found a bit more juice and went to McLaren. Do you think they're just team rehab? Oh, see, Daniel, mean. Why did you have to say that?
Nah, he's just a likable guy having a laugh.
Yeah, and see, this is the thing. Like, Lando's too much of a little nerd for this. Like, I feel like Carlos would have been like, if it was Carlos and Daniel, Carlos would have been like, you can call it whatever you like, man, but like a bit of banter back. But they just don't I just don't think they like each other at all, and I don't think Lando likes the idea of being made fun of ever. I think he likes making fun of things, but doesn't like to be made fun of.
I think that if you try and make fun of Lando, he's just like, yeah, I know, I suck, I'm the worst. You think I just drink milk? The truth is I do. I just live on milk. He really owns it and puts himself down as a way of like just nullifying the threat.
Yeah,
but I mean, he's
about
also
stuff that doesn't matter.
I think he publicly lets it slide off his back, but then later he's like not stewing over it, but he's like, what a jerk for you to say that.
But that just happened then. He was like, wasn't a crash, shut up. Barely broke the nose. I spun a little bit. Leave me alone.
Well, this is last year when he was like 16 years old. So
yeah, it's true. Now he's 25. Different. That's how time works in Formula One. You're young until you're old, Sebastian Vettel.
That's how TV works.
Yeah.
It's TV, baby.
Who do we really like in Formula One these days? Like, who do we really like? Really like that you're like, yeah, I really like that question. Guy.
What do I like about Formula One anymore?
Not what do I like about Formula One? Who do I really like? Like, who's the guy that you're like, whenever he comes on screen, I'm like, yeah, more about you. Really like
when you're watching the race, you mean?
Generally.
Or
like,
just generally?
You're on Twitter and something comes up about someone and you're like, I really like that guy. Yeah, I want to hear more from you. Or watch you race. You really excite me.
These days, I try to curb my fandom in that way, so I don't let myself get obsessed in a positive way with anybody.
Much on the old
it just becomes like then no one would tune into the podcast because I'd just be like, we have to keep talking about Joe Granu. We have to. Did you see his Instagram post? Oh my god!
But so as you've become maybe less of a Formula One journalist and more of a podcaster, you become more impartial.
I was never a journalist.
Oh, Mr. Paddock.
I guess the question could be, like, who do I see myself potentially becoming a fanboy for?
Yes. Who's? Let me phrase it this way. There was a time when you and I would buy Formula One merch.
That's true.
Who's F1 Authentics, or next time you go to a race, whose hat are you buying?
I don't know if it'd be a driver thing. I think it would be a team thing, and then I don't know what team it would be.
This is it.
Whatever one looked cool and didn't suck.
But there was a time we liked Fernando Alonso, we liked Kimi Räikkönen. You know, there were people that we liked.
Yeah, there's kind of no replacement for Kimi Räikkönen. I guess like Yuki Tsunoda is the next one that's just like a real character in the Kimi mold of just like I need to say out loud that I have to go and do a shit now. Like that's a Kimi thing and it's a Yuki thing. It's like the two circles of the right there. I don't want to work
training every day.
I mean, classic Kimi. Like he's the only one with that streak that could continue to be developed.
Yeah, sure.
But it's hard to think of anyone else who's like, I could really stand for, Latifi.
Yeah, like enough character, but not insufferable.
Well, yeah, I know. Do you have one? Could you say, let me put it this way. Lewis Hamilton, been around a long, long time. He's very much a known quantity. But if you started watching Formula One now, would you become a big Lewis stan?
I think this year you might, because he's a little bit more fighting. It's kind of like you kind of get behind that he's not just winning every race.
Yeah, I get you. That makes sense.
I mean, it's probably...
And his whole thing these days is better than it used to be.
Yeah. I think the only drivers, there are two, I think. These are the only ones that I think I could really see myself standing over. Charles Leclerc is probably the guy. I think that everything that makes him a little bit insufferable is but that's Formula One insufferable. He's a Formula One driver. That's what I expect. I assume they're all like that. But he's also likable and also really passionate. And also, he's always been a little bit of the prince of Formula One. But he's actually done it though. He consistently just drives the wheels off the car. And I think he's kind of, and because he hasn't won everything, it's hardening him in a way that's kind of interesting to me. I think he's past the bleary-eyed, I'm going to be the next world champion. And also gone through if I just work really hard to become F1 champion. He's no, I'm a little bit more cynical now and a little bit wiser. And I don't think we've had some really wise Formula One drivers who also aren't world champions in their first, before they're 22 in a long time. Yeah. He's the guy who's no, I'm genuinely probably the best or second best driver on the grid. It just hasn't quite worked out for me. And it might not ever work out for me, but I'm just going to work really hard at it.
Before I prompt you who the second one is, I do remember, and I don't even know why I did this, but I remember watching the year that Leclerc joined Ferrari. I remember watching the Ferrari car launch, which is a bizarre media event thing that happens, and everyone wears those formal black jackets with the little yellow Ferrari badge on them. And I just remember they were talking to Vettel as if well, you are the number one driver, and he was definitely, but really excited, and Leclerc's a great driver of the future, but I feel like he didn't believe it. But if you were to go back and watch that now, you would be it's all true. It's not, it wasn't hype. Leclerc was the real deal, and whether you knew it or not, you were literally about to get your ass handed to you, Sam.
Yeah.
And it was such a strange one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second driver other than Leclerc, potentially.
I think it might be Kevin Magnussen.
Really? Cool. Not what I was expecting.
Not really but I just that he's had such a funny career now that he was flying high at McLaren and then didn't quite work out, and then was at Haas and was just this all fucking sucks. And now he's back and he's you know what? It's all right.
Story.
It's all right.
Got a great story. Was he in F1? F1 spat him out. Yeah. So that they could get Mazepin in, of all people. But the F1 spat him out and he was well, fine, I'm going to go and spend time with my family. I'm going to go have some more kids. And then came back and he was I love life so much. I've got this amazing family. And guess what? I'm back being a Formula One driver. Yeah. How good is this?
How good is this? And I'm actually good. I'm actually all right.
Came back and was doing well immediately. And has always had, he stood up for himself. He was, he just had he's not, what is it about him? He's not an extrovert character like Ricciardo is. He's not showboating, but he gives as good as he takes. Right?
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I think that too many drivers only they just all have two personalities. And they just, depending on the situation, they bring one out. It's either deadly serious about Formula One, I'm just going to really do really well. Or isn't this all just a laugh? Aren't I just a fun guy? It's those two things. I think Kevin Magnussen's just kind of just a bit more down the middle. It's you know what? I'm never going to win a world championship. That's done. But I'm actually pretty good driver.
There's less to not like.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he just seems like he's being himself all the time, as opposed to fake fun or fake serious.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking, when I started watching F1, I had a Mika Hakkinen poster on my wall. I was who would I even tolerate having a poster on my wall of these days? But Kevin Magnussen, he's maybe there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He's just kind of grizzled enough. He just keeps going.
That's it.
I liked Grosjean for a long time for that reason too. He was just a bit of a laugh, but at the same time, he was all right. It was good. I think he began to feel gratitude for his for his own career, being you know what, I might not have been the best, but I have a pretty good life, and I'm just gonna tell it like it is and be happy about it. And he's become more than that because also he had a pretty near brush with death. But he always had a smile. He had a ready smile that didn't feel inauthentic. That just kind of, he wasn't trying to be a joker for joker's sake. He was just a bit gangly and a bit awkward sometimes, but was working on himself. He wanted to be a better chef, a better cyclist, and a better Formula One driver all the time. I don't think he ever felt like he was owed something by the sport. Maybe that's the difference. Yeah. I think Leclerc is now out if he's like, this sport owes me something. I think he's always just been a bit like, I will fight for it all. And that's why he gets so annoyed when he crashes, because he's just like, every moment is so important in Formula One. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it by the skin of my teeth. Like, it's going to be so close.
Yeah. He always like Rosberg when he too hard on himself. He still is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But luckily he's been doing a bit better lately.
Yeah, he's doing. He's choosing to do it the hard way by being first at Sauber and then Ferrari. Like, there were probably better ways to win a world championship.
So you said Leclerc, and I was waiting for the second name, and I had a different name in my mind. Do you want to guess at who I thought might be your other driver?
My other driver might have been Pierre Gasly.
Pierre Gasly, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I was waiting for you to be like, the only other one I could like is maybe Pierre Gasly, and I was going to say absolutely.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, he seems. Maybe I just like the broken ones, the used goods, the ones that have been like the almost.
Yeah, F1 drivers and biscuits, the broken ones are the best.
Damaged goods. I'm sorry, Pierre. Like, went up to Red Bull, had a hard time. He's back at Toro Rosso, Alpha Tauri, and he's already doing
Instant
okay.
Underdog.
Yeah. Yeah.
You like someone who was sort of dropped from a team but then redeemed themselves.
Oh, most uninteresting pizza.
What is this pizza?
Aubergine and white sauce, maybe.
Was it? I thought it might have been potato and...
zucchini?
Nothing. Potato and olive oil. So what is it? You can see it's just cheese. He's eating a cheese pizza. Like
no. It's got long strips of zucchini.
Like he's Kevin from Home Alone just eating a cheese pizza.
Not aubergine, courgette. Courgette. Which is the one? Why do we use the funny names here?
Are you talking about an eggplant?
No, that was zucchini, which is courgette.
You said aubergine.
And then because I thought aubergine was
But zucchini. You meant to say courgette.
But I meant to say courgette.
All right, Grosjean, calm down. Fucking hell. Was it sautéed? Or was it a flambe?
It was flambe is my new favourite Formula One driver. Eric
well, I mean, he blitzed it in F2.
Yeah. Oh, mate. It's the greatest one you've never heard of.
Jenny Gow, remember her?
Oh, Yay.
Haven't seen her for a long time in the show.
Oh, God. Still got what it takes. Like, he's so old. Daniel Ricciardo, you're so old, it turns out. He's still got it, that Daniel. Did he ever really have it? Yeah, I suppose.
I guess this is the narrative around him at the moment, though, is that it's like, yeah, have you lost it? Like, you had it, but have you lost it?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, the car's a bit shit, though. Maybe that's it.
Must be the car. Why don't you give me Lando's car? I'm just saying. I don't want to have to pop in a letter saying that if you don't give me Lando's car, then I don't know what's going to happen.
I think Daniel needs a break from Formula One. All the good drivers do it, but all those good drivers actually won world championships, and he's in trouble because he didn't win one. So if he takes a break, he might not come back.
So this complicates things, because what if, as far as our wager with a steak dinner, let's just say Ricciardo gets dropped and doesn't have a seat this year. He's out of the sport for 2 years, and then Lewis Hamilton announces he's leaving. Bang, his replacement, old mate Daniel Ricciardo. What do we do? How do we split up the dinner? Because I've probably already bought you a dinner and you've eaten it by then, you know?
I'm coming back to Australia for Christmas. I think my dinner's going to happen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, hopefully we'll know by then whether he's got a seat for next year. Could be in the High Court by then.
I think if he comes back, I think we need to have I think if he's out for 2 seasons, then that counts as retired. Because people say they come out of retirement. So it depends. If he says, I'm retiring,
if he's out, I think it's down to him. Then you win. That's how it goes. But the thing is, if he comes back and then Hamilton, that's the thing. Like, do you think that Fernando Alonso is retired, or is he current? Like, what's
Fernando Alonso?
I think if he comes back, he's still going.
You mean Vettel?
Fernando Alonso.
Because Fernando Alonso's off.
He retired and came back.
Yeah, so he said he was retiring. I think that counted. I think in that circumstance, I would have gotten my dinner if I'd said that Fernando was going to... Yeah, but he did come back. Yeah, but I don't think the dinner gets rescinded. I don't think they owe you a dinner.
I don't know why you're not following. So
no, I don't. I get it. Yeah. He's still retiring. That's true. I thought you meant about now. Yeah, I think that... Yeah. Well, this is what betting companies have to do, right? They have to use interesting language to make sure that it's like the team that wins is actually the team that lifts the cup or whatever. Like, they have to use language that because you have to be very specific.
What's this?
Oh, Giovinazzi. Remember him?
No,
I think that if he says, I'm taking some time away from Formula One, I think that counts as he's out. He's out before Lewis.
Here's what I'm saying.
His hands.
If Ricciardo doesn't drive next year, I'm buying you a steak. That's just given. The question is, if he comes back and then outlasts Hamilton after that, I think there needs to be a make good. At least an evener.
Yeah, okay, I get that. Yeah. Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Perfect. What if Daniel comes back the same year Lewis retires?
Well, that's fine, because then Daniel has driven beyond Hamilton's retirement. So
tricky. It's tricky.
It's not. You buy me a steak. It's very simple.
I don't know. I feel like you're wriggling out. I get it.
And with jus.
Jus. Another one of our favourite drivers coming up. Bœuf jus. I've got a would you rather because we're at Monto, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather
drive?
You been here? Yeah, but would you rather drive for Ferrari at Monza and crash, or drive for a different team at Monza and get a point?
Oh, okay. Those are the choices. Not win, but get 1 point. You've got to be Ferrari and crash, right? It's only 1 point. Who cares?
Yeah, but you forever be on the record books as having a point.
If it was a podium for any other team, maybe, but not for 1 point. No way. It's not even close. Definitely crash.
Okay. Well, the fans
because
might not
it's
like
the
you
whole.
if you crash.
It's the whole weekend. It's the vibe.
It's the vibe.
It's the whole thing.
It's Marbo. It's the vibe.
It's the Marbo.
Machines whirring, tires squealing.
Just that extreme close zoom in on the corner for virtually no reason. I was like, wait a second, this is a McLaren and Ferrari story? So what's going on here? This is old mate Verstappen's not going to win.
No. I reckon you could feed the first 4 seasons now to an AI and have it, and then just give it all the footage that it records in season 5, in season 2022, and then just be like, now make the show. And they'd be like, cool shot of Christian Horner doing this, doing that. Oh, also, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to leave it. Wow, look at that rear wing flexing under the...
It's crazy, right?
Getting whacked by Max Verstappen.
The whole car hits it.
Oh, crunch.
Not nice. Big incident between Verstappen and Hamilton happening on screen. You all know the incident. This is the Monza
drives
incident.
over his head, essentially.
Looks worse than it is, but I mean that doesn't take away that it looks real bad.
Yeah, what is that face, Toto?
No, not meaning the contact, meaning the racing incident, not the.
I hated that. That's what you get when you don't leave enough space. Like, see,
it's shit.
If you don't run away when I'm trying to stab you, you'll get stabbed. All right,
that's it. That's your fault. I'm just going to punch the air.
Max, God, he's such a dick sometimes.
It's shit.
Never my fault. How could anything be my fault?
I was going to say, like, that was the start of hating Verstappen, but it goes way back. It goes way back further than that.
He has redeeming qualities. So every now and again, you catch yourself being like, you seem okay. And then, no.
Going to be a big McLaren 1-2, but guess what? It ain't going to be the golden boy leading.
He's my golden boy.
Overtaking a Ferrari at once is pretty good.
Yeah. Quickly, let me pass Daniel. Daniel sucks.
That's the thing. Like, the Ricciardo win did seem to come from out of nowhere, but he was legitimately right there on pace. And, I mean, he qualified really well, put himself there. It wasn't a fluke, is what I'm saying.
Always. You've got to be the number one driver. There are people who know there's a 1 and 2, and there are people who don't care. And turns out Lando is someone who really, really, really knows and cares. Yeah, I should have overtaken him. This is what this show needed. They're all too well done now. Like, these days, they don't do it. They don't try. They all stick to team orders too well. Don't they? See?
Yeah.
Like, young Vettel, wouldn't have stuck with that. He would have been like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going past.
I mean, it was only a couple of years ago he was doing that at Ferrari.
Like, maximise points for the team. Yeah, bullshit. Overtake him. I don't care. Get past. Make it happen. Prove to me that you've got that killer instinct. Nah, it's all pretend. It's false bravado from Lando.
Too many
and faster, but only if he gets out of the way. And spinning, because he's lost it. I mean, this is the annoying thing about Daniel Ricciardo. He does do this. Every now and again, you're like, it's definitely over. And then he wins a race. And you're like, like even at Renault, remember, it was like, it'll never happen. Oh, wait, he got 2 podiums. Yeah. Bugger. Shit. Maybe he's okay. I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he's really good.
But I mean, let's just say right now we had to think about Ricciardo's career being over, and we had to think, what were the highlights? Obviously, showing up at Red Bull and making Vettel look stupid by winning all those races.
Yep.
Really,
humbling
that was
Vettel.
pretty good, you'd have to say. Just completely mopping the floor with him, and then winning Monaco, and then winning Monza.
Yeah,
and then, I mean, even but he did Chewies. Like, well, yeah, but it got tired at the end, and even he was tired of it. So there's that.
Yeah, say the word, say the thing, tap the sign. Like, he just doesn't need it anymore. I think, look, it could be in this age of ultra fitness and all that kind of stuff. There is a small window where Lewis Hamilton retires, and Mercedes go, you know what? We've got to put someone in because we can't have. We couldn't get Lando, or we don't want Lando and George. We just need someone there, and he could win a world championship in that circumstance. There's a slim window somewhere in the next 4 years where that happens, and that is the only opportunity he will have. But if there was one sport where that could happen, where the aging guy could get the one last opportunity, and Russell DNFs a couple of times, and it just doesn't work out, and Daniel wins the world championship. That's the only chance he has. He's not going to do it. I was going to say on merit, but he's not going to do it off his own back at McLaren or even at Ferrari. Look, I could even see that. I could see Ferrari being like, you know what, Carlos? I'm sorry, mate. It's just not good enough. But you know who is good? Daniel fucking Ricciardo. But if the car's good enough for Daniel Ricciardo to win a world championship, how does Charles Leclerc not win the championship? That's what I don't get.
It's so messy. That he left Red Bull. I mean, I'm not saying leaving Red Bull was the wrong decision, but he went to teams.
He needed Max to leave Red Bull.
He left to be the number one team number one driver at another team, hoping that they would recover and get better. Yeah. They didn't. He jumped ships, left played musical chairs up and down the midfield.
Got stuck in the washing machine.
And he promoted himself out of the number one driver spot. So wherever he goes, he's going to be number 2 driver now, and it's just not looking so good. Yeah,
it's a shame because, like a lot of Formula One drivers, they're actually most likable when they're winning. And I think Daniel's actually very good for Formula One when he's happy and winning, and it's all good. Literally this moment, people are like, "Oh yeah, this is the fun, energetic. He's cool and chill."
Couldn't be happier for you.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe it's too harsh. I mean, he didn't drive particularly well when he was at Renault. Really drove some of the worst years of his career, but then I don't know how much of the McLaren lack of performance is down to he didn't deliver, or had just legitimately had problems with the car. Just the system and him just didn't mix for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that if unlike Charles Leclerc, who you can very easily make them like we just watched in the previous episode with Mick Schumacher, they can make the car happen as long as it's okay. They can make it happen and kind of take it further than it should go, the performance of the car. I'm not sure Daniel Ricciardo's that kind of driver. I think if he gets the right car and gets the right setup, I think he can do really, really, really well. But, anyway. Williams,
so
next episode.
Coming up next time on Dare to Swear, we're going to watch George Russell cry, apparently. And, this is weeks away that we're going to get to this episode, but it could be one where Russell drives pretty well and guarantees himself a seat at Mercedes this year. But there you go. That's what it feels like to do 2 episodes. I got to tell you, again, like I said earlier, if we had to stop after the Mazepin episode, I would have been grumpy all day tomorrow as well. Fucking Mazepin to go. I was going to say halfway through doing that one, this was such a great decision. And what a great, it was a fluke, but.
Mazepin can't hurt you
really
anymore.
good.
It's not in Formula 1 anymore. Don't worry about it. He can't hurt you.
It's okay. It's okay. It's Daniel
He's
forever.
in hiding.
He'll never leave
yacht
F1.
somewhere.
Well, mate, that was fun. I like that. And,
great.
it was good to get into some chats about things that weren't about the show. That's always good. Well, I mean, if you are enjoying your summer break, and I hope you are, you're probably not paying too much attention to things like visiting websites, supporting Patreons, or following Twitter. But, hopefully when all the news starts popping off about who's going where, you can see our hot takes and reaction GIFs on twitter.com/superlicense, which is where we are at. And if you are a member of the Patreon, thank you so much. As you know, you get the episodes a little bit earlier than other people, especially these ones because they're less time sensitive. But even the race ones, we still put them out earlier on the Patreon. If you've never checked it out, there's a link on our website, which you know the website. I know the website. You know the website. Superlicense.fm. Zach, the FM stands for?
Formula Messieurs.
Don't forget it. And you want to be thumbing that one into your phone
Thumb it in.
The next available opportunity.
Yeah, I was, whilst you're doing the little outro there, I've been scanning Twitter to see if there's any breaking news just for fun.
I was going to say
nothing.
we should do that because something will happen, but
yeah,
no,
there's
nothing good.
Nothing good. Nothing interesting. Literally nothing. All of the drivers and teams and journalists are all like, I'm on my holiday. What do they call them here? Holiday jobs.
Here we go.
Bobs.
This is from 7 minutes ago. Report Ricardo looking for $21 million payout from McLaren. I posted this. The other thing I should promote on our website is a link to the Discord. And I posted in our Discord today that I think, in my opinion, all the drivers know where they're going. All the teams know who they're getting. Now we're just arguing over money, is my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Which is sad, but it's also very F1.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get all the details next year on Drive to Survive. I'm sure we'll get all the juicy details. When Daniel turns up at Haas with the carsales.com.au sponsorship,
I'm just gonna post a tweet from our Twitter account right now. Can't wait until next season. I can't wait. What can I post that might have a chance of getting into the show? Can't wait to hear the story behind all of these contracts, negotiations on hashtag Drive to Survive. Do I at Netflix? Let's do it.
Yes.
At, if I can spell Netflix. There we go.
Flux.
This is how the sausage is made,
at
people.
Amazon Prime.
At Hulu. At Paramount Plus. Can't wait to hear the story behind all these contract negotiations on Drive to Survive. What can I do to punch that up a bit? Give me some live Drive to Survive season.
Maybe
5?
Maybe the juicy details.
The juicy details.
Hashtag Survive 5.
Survive 5, yes. So Survive 5.
And then numerical 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Can't wait to hear the juicy details. The juicy gossip.
Oh, can't wait till... No, how about we can't wait till Drive to Survive spills all the tea, all the contract tea.
This is so great. I love this. I have to redraft this whole thing now because you've done exactly what I wanted you to do, which is to help me bait them into putting us into the show. Can't wait for
Drive to Survive. Hashtag Drive to Survive.
To spill. What did you call it?
Spill the contract tea.
So, to spill the contract tea. Is that it?
Yeah.
At Netflix, hashtag Survive 5. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you see that on our Twitter feed and you were wondering what it was about, now you know.
It's crafted here. This is how we write every tweet. This is why we never tweet during the race. It takes too long.
We put effort into this tweet.
I like the idea of us crafting a tweet every show now. I want to do this every show. At the end of the show, we will craft a tweet together.
Beautiful.
If you
want to give us a challenge, if you want to give us a keyword and say, I challenge you to put into a tweet
Twitter
the word
improv.
Goblin, I'll do it.
Yeah, and then if you've got your own Twitter, then we'll subtweet you afterwards. Say that you're the source.
Well, listen to me. Thank you for listening to me and Zach talk about Formula One and watch a TV show. Thanks for joining us during our leisure time. Have a great summer and take care of yourself and each other and everybody else. Anything else to leave us with, Zach?
Formula One never sleeps, and neither do we. So
true. I literally never sleep. Well, we'll see you after. Oh, it's Spa's the next race. Are we going to do a show after Spa or wait for at least another race?
I think we've only got 2 or 3 more episodes in us this season.
The thing is, what if all the contractual stuff kicks off and then there's also Spa?
Yeah.
Is that enough for us to do?
I think that's probably enough.
Episode?
I think that's probably enough. When is Spa? When's the race?
It's a couple of weeks. It's like 3 weeks away.
Okay. Yeah. I'll probably have it in me again to do another episode by then. Sure.
Yeah, excellent. We'll save up all your hottest takes. That goes for you too, listener. Until then, my name's been Rod.
My name's been Zach.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.